or whether I mention an ancient text, I have to make sure that I've done some kind of work in trying to understand the literature that I'm quoting. And you have a responsibility when you are quoting any ancient text to have made sure that you are quoting it in context. And like I said, in many debates, when scholars are debating, they often quote ancient text out of context. So next, historical criteria. I hope to use the methods that historians use in assessing an hypothesis for historical data. This means my method tries to keep within the mainstream of historical scholarship. Also, it is very important to note, as we use the historian's tools, it means we are using historical data as evidence, not presuming or defending an inspired Bible. I believe the Bible is the Word of God, but my argument is a historical argument based on historical evidence. I must repeat that because it's so important. In this lecture, I am not defending an inspired Bible, although I believe in an inspired Bible. I am making an historical argument using secular historians' methods for historical inquiry. Okay? So my 5 criteria for assessing my historical hypotheses are as follows. Explanatory scope. This means we look at the quantity of the facts that our hypothesis accounts. The hypothesis that has the most relevant facts has the best explanatory scope. My historical criteria. So there we are. Number 2, explanatory power. This looks at quality of the given facts. If you can explain your position with less ambiguity, then it has better explanatory power. If one has a strong presence, you may get some due to the nature. If one has a strong presence, you may get some due to the nature of patchiness of history. In other words, if you do get some things that are not explained in your theory, that is because history is often patchy. Alright. Third, plausibility. A hypothesis must conform to the background knowledge better than the other position. We look at opponents' views and see also if they are confirmed by anything in history or today by the sciences. Fourth, less ad hoc. When we use less non-evidence assumptions, we are in a better position than using such arguments that lack any evidence. And number 5, illumination. And a hypothesis can provide good solutions to historical problems, and if this is the position, it strengthens one's case. All this can be found in a good discussion on historical criteria in the book The Resurrection of Jesus by Michael Lowe, Licona, A New Historical Approach, IVP 2010, page 109 to page 111. Quote, he writes, when conducting authentic historical investigation, one cannot presuppose that the sources with which they are working are inerrant or divinely inspired. Otherwise, we would simply conclude everything reported in those sources is true and wrap up the investigation. A theologian can do that when studying. A theologian can do that when studying Jesus. A historian does not have that luxury. Theology and history are different disciplines with different objectives and approaches. Now, I believe that everything in the Bible is true. But that's a statement of faith and has to be argued by reason of a different sort. My objective in this book was to see what I could prove concerning Jesus' resurrection with reasonable and adequate historical certainty and apart from any faith. Dr. Licona, roundtable discussion with Michael Licona on the resurrection of Jesus, A New Historical Approach, Danny Aitken, Craig Blomberg, Paul Copan, Michael Kruger, Michael Licona, and Charles Quarles at the Southern Theological Review. So you can Google that and look at the article there. So basically, I reiterate that again. When we're making this argument for the historical Jesus, we are not making it because we say the Bible's inspired, therefore what we say is true. What I'm saying is, using Michael Licona's criteria which he got from secular historians. What we're saying is we're looking at ancient historical source material, we're not presuming that it's inspired, and from that we're deducing certain things as historians. Next thing we need to note, part D of methodology, is E.P. Saunders and the Academy. It's true that many lives of Jesus are produced by scholars and are biased. But at the same time, we must realize that modern scholarship has come to a general agreement about some facts as to the life of Jesus. It would be unwise to build a foundation without paying respect and using some of this scholarship and its conclusions. What atheists do not tell you is Dr. Richard Carrier, Earl J. Doughty, David Fitzgerald, Dr. Robert McNair Price are all skeptics who say Jesus never even existed, which makes them fringe scholars who are flying in the face of mainstream scholarship. I do not say I agree with all the methods and conclusions of mainstream scholarship, but at the same time I acknowledge we are making progress in our understanding of Jesus. Some of the facts we know about Jesus and most scholars agree on are as follows. Number 1, Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. Number 2, Jesus